You are listening to episode 136 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Scott Nelson. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we help you create an awesome life and lifestyle. From nutrition to fitness, mindfulness to peak performance, and relationships to money mindset, we bring you on an amazing journey to help you unleash your human potential. So here's a little bit about our awesome guest today, Scott Nelson. He's the co-founder and head of commercialization for Joovv, the first company to develop a modular, full-body light therapy device. Prior to starting Joovv, he spent his entire professional career in leadership positions with some of the largest medical device companies in the world, including Medtronic, Covidien, and Boston Scientific. In his spare time, Scott is also the host of MedSider Radio, a top-ranked medical device podcast. So without further ado, here's our guest today, Scott. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lifestyle Locker Radio. We have a really neat guest today. His name is Scott from Joovv, if I'm saying that correctly, right?
You got it.
All right. Well, I'm super pumped because this is a whole new world for me. I've been around the product once or twice at conferences. It intrigued me, and I'm very grateful to actually have this conversation with the brains behind. So, Scott, thank you.
I'm really looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah. So, in your bio, which is read before, we mentioned red light therapy, infrared. What got you into this? To me, like thinking about how do we get into red light and light therapy for health? Like, what does that even mean? How do you
No, it's an interesting story. I've spent most of my professional career in traditional med tech. So before Joovv, the companies I spent time with were Medtronic, Covidien, Boston Scientific. In fact, that's why we originally started the company in Minneapolis, which is kind of the Silicon Valley of that.
Okay.
That arena. Really more specifically the peripheral vascular space. So my wheelhouse was we're dealing with products like arterial stents and venous thrombectomy catheters and stuff that.
Okay.
So, which is completely different from what we're going to be talking about today. With light therapy. And so the story goes back to 2015 when my sister-in-law, Melissa, we were living in Minneapolis. It's pretty cold most of the year. And she purchased, I'm using air quotes for people that are just listening to this, a red light therapy package from a local spa in Minneapolis. She had heard about they were advertising it for skin related benefits, but she purchased a package, went to the spa consistently, 4 to 5 times a week over the course of about 8 to 10 weeks, and saw really good benefits, primarily related to skin health. So the reduction of eczema, some reduction in stretch marks because of multiple pregnancies. And so she was really excited about the therapy, and then convinced my wife, her sister, to do the same thing. So my wife, pulled the trigger on a red light therapy package as well. She went consistently, saw the same type of benefits, but so they were really excited. But it's just it's hard to get to a commercial practice that often on that consistent of a basis. And so Melissa tasked her engineer husband Justin to try to make something that they could use at home. And so he started dabbling with some prototypes, and then they looped me in with my medical device or med tech background. And I was super skeptical about the therapy. I was like, red light therapy, this is like total woo-woo science. This is a joke, right? And so, but I went straight to published peer-reviewed research on PubMed. And if you just do a little bit of research, the evidence is really, really compelling. In fact, in all my years in the clinical therapeutic arena, I've never seen a modality supported by the sheer amount of science that showcases the wide variety of benefits for red light therapy. So I was blown away, and that's kind of what started sort of our origin story with Joovv.
That's pretty interesting. And coming from a healthcare background myself, and maybe people listening, okay, red light, does that mean is it laser? People may think that as they're listening, is it like a cold laser or something like that? Is it something totally different?
No, it's actually very similar. In fact, what we're talking about, red light therapy, is technically referred to as photobiomodulation. So it's actually a subspecialty of medicine. There's labs in institutions across the world that conduct real research using different photobiomodulation devices or different light sources. Okay. One of those being cold lasers. So if you've I'm sure there's some people listening that have some sort of experience with cold lasers. And that's actually where most of the data leading up to like the early 90s, so the late 20th century, was rooted in the use of delivering this type of therapy through cold lasers. But with the advent of medical grade LEDs, that's changed over the past 20 years, where now you can deliver the same type of power and wavelengths through LEDs instead of lasers now.
Okay. So let's fast forward. Juve is now helping people. Mm-hmm. So I know there's lots of different products or different size products on your website, but I see red light and infrared. Am I saying it right? Is it far infrared, near infrared, whatever it is? What's the difference?
Yeah, it's our devices deliver red and near infrared light. So you may have heard of infrared, maybe within the context of saunas, infrared saunas.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. And so I guess the important point, I'll start kind of high level. The important point to consider is that saunas are definitely different than what we're talking about, photobiomodulation or light therapy. And to kind of drill down into that a little bit, the light spectrum is really broad. And when you look specifically at infrared, for example, the spectrum of the infrared spectrum ranges anywhere from around 800 nanometers all the way up to 20,000. So it's really broad. Mm-hmm. And our bodies metabolize or respond to those different wavelengths in different ways. So mid and far infrared, which are often seen in saunas and dry saunas, those do a great job at delivering heat to the body or warming up the body, which is great for the purposes of a sauna. Whereas near infrared, wavelengths of light in the red and near infrared spectrum actually our bodies respond to those very differently as well. So actually those specific wavelengths that fall kind of within that range, like what's referred to as the optical or therapeutic window, they actually help the cells in our body produce more ATP energy. So it's a very different mechanism of action, and it kind of like, if you kind of start to unwind the science a little bit, the best analogy I can use is that we all know that our bodies, we metabolize different macronutrients in different ways: proteins, carbs, fats, etc. Yeah. The best way to think about that, the best parallel is that our bodies respond to different wavelengths of light in a similar fashion. So these specific wavelengths of light, red and near infrared, like I said earlier, help the cells in our body produce more ATP energy, and you get a whole host of benefits that kind of result from that.
Okay. Is it similar, I'm an outdoor fanatic. I love being outdoors as much as I possibly can, like you are right now, I think. Yeah. Which is really cool. Are the light spectrums coming from, nature, from sun, similar to what you're sharing?
Yeah. So you'll get these. Sunlight delivers full spectrum of light, and so in fact, when you look at this is a little bit of a different topic, but when you look at our modern lifestyles today, those are drastically different than even 150 or 200 years ago. In fact, there's a pretty well-known stat that Americans now spend 93% of our lives indoors under artificial light, which is drastically different. Yeah. And so it kind of begs the question, is that really great for our health? And I would argue, no, it's not. The sun actually is a powerful tool for health when used right. So I guess to come back to answer your question, yeah, these wavelengths of light are definitely found in full spectrum sunlight. But this is, you can kind of almost consider a good quality light therapy device to almost be like a supplement, right? Where we're delivering concentrated doses of these types of light in a short amount of time.
Okay. So, I'm in a studio right now, right? I have LED lights on, but I know, and my computer monitor is set to blue, like to turn off the blue. But these blue lights are killing us, right? And, does the red light therapy, does that actually help combat some of that?
It does. You bring up a good point. I mean, I mentioned this earlier in that that, we all know that our bodies, like I said, metabolize different macronutrients differently, especially at different times of the day. So as an example, if I eat something high glycemic late at night, that's not really a great recipe for success. Well, I think most people don't realize that excess blue light, right, from screens, mobile phones, LEDs in our home environments, like those are disruptive to our circadian rhythm. So not as big of a deal during the daytime. We're recording this during the daytime, not as big of a deal. But at night, our circadian rhythms are impacted by different types of light. And so, as an example, or to get more pragmatic, if the sun sets, right, that our bodies kind of.
So we had a little Wi-Fi connection error there. And what Scott is talking about is when the sun sets, our body is set to start winding down for the night. It's letting us know it's getting ready to go to sleep. So what he's going to continue with is how the blue light that comes off devices will actually affect our health. So here it is.
Instead. And so if we're using bright blue or white light at night, our circadian rhythm is telling our bodies, hey, like it's bright day sunlight. It's bright out. You should be, it's like midday sun. You should be awake and alert. Where it really should be the opposite. We're beginning to kind of prepare for bedtime, and that has a lot of different ramifications. Most of it due to just the negative impact it has on our sleep, which we all kind of know that if our sleep's impacted and on a consistent basis, that's not great for overall health.
Well, totally.
Yeah. So I guess the moral of the story here for those that are kind of new to kind of like how light impacts our health is that yes, excess blue light, especially late at night, can be fairly detrimental. And what we need more of is this healthy type of light, red and infrared light. And yes, you can get that in the daytime sun, which we would be the first ones to recommend that, right? Try to get more daytime sun. It's just a lot. Most of us are busy and don't have the type of sort of schedule that allows us to take breaks during the day and go outside and get more natural light. And so using a light therapy device on a consistent basis is like a great way to supplement kind of your light diet, so to speak.
Okay. So you're talking about like the different spectrums feed us differently health-wise. So what are some of the benefits? I know we just pre-chat, we were talking, I was saying I'm an athlete, a chiropractor. I live obviously indoors a lot of the time as well, like the rest of us. What kind of benefits would someone see if they start using, one of the Joovv lights?
Yeah, first and foremost, there's a wide variety of clinically proven benefits to using this type of therapy on a consistent basis, and they all kind of stem from the core mechanism of action, which these wavelengths of light almost stimulate our cells, and more specifically the mitochondria in our cells, which are like the powerhouses of our cells, to produce more ATP energy. And by helping our cells just function better and produce more energy, you get this like really wide range of benefits. So everything from like something that we talked about earlier, better skin health through increased collagen production, faster muscle recovery, increased athletic performance, more natural melatonin production, which helps with sleep. Better cognitive function. Those are just like some of the few benefits, just kind of rattling off. Reduced joint pain and inflammation is another big one. It begins to kind of sound like a little bit like a late night QVC commercial, to be honest. But the cool thing about this therapy is that it's all of those benefits are proven by a robust amount of peer-reviewed, published clinical studies.
And people are getting well. I mean, that's like the real deal.
Yep, no doubt.
You mentioned like athletic performance and recovery. So is it penetrate deep into the body?
Yeah, and that's you asked earlier about kind of the difference between red and infrared, red and near infrared light. That these and it's within this narrow spectrum between about 600 nanometers and about 1,000 nanometers. So it's actually pretty narrow when you look at kind of the full light spectrum from a macro level. But the difference between those two, red and near infrared, really comes down to the depth of penetration. So red light actually is readily absorbed in the dermis and epidermis of your skin. So red light is traditionally used for skin health or superficial tissue treatment, whereas near infrared light has a unique ability to penetrate pretty deep into our bodies. In fact, it can penetrate through bone even. A lot of the energy dissipates as it passes through bone. So you do need a kind of a high powered device to see deep tissue benefits. But yeah, that's the main difference. And so when you look at published clinical studies regarding deep tissue treatment, whether it's cognitive function, muscle recovery, joint pain relief, etc. Most of the time, near infrared light is used, kind of in that mid 800 nanometer range.
Okay. And, I've seen the devices. I mean, I've seen it in person, also online. They're big. Is this something that, I'm standing in front of, naked or whatever it may be? Are my eyes closed? Is this safe to actually like have in your eyes?
Yeah, that's a common question that comes up often. I can speak to our devices specifically. So because they're registered as Class 2 medical devices with FDA, there's a whole host of different IEC testing that we have to, that our devices have to pass. One of which is photobiological safety testing for your eyes. So I guess to answer your question, yes, it's complete. With our devices, they're completely safe to look at. And then when you actually evaluate some of the promising research regarding this type of light for eye health, it's really compelling. So there's a couple studies that come to mind. One in which patients that suffered from macular degeneration saw significant improvements when using this type of therapy. There's also some other clinical evidence that shows actually an acute improvement in just overall vision. And so, yeah, it definitely help. And that's one of the reasons we generally don't recommend using any sort of like eyewear with our devices, because it's actually very, very healthy for your eyes to receive these types of wavelengths through your retinas.
Yeah, well, I was thinking, cellular, like you said, you're affecting the cell. I mean, your eyes are made of cells, aren't they? I mean, right? And I think that's, and I don't know if there's research, I'm sure there is, but I mean, your eyes have a direct connection to your brain.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. In fact, one of sort of the godfathers of light therapy, so to speak, is a guy by the name of John Ott. And he wrote a book. I'm trying to remember his more well-known book in this space, but he's pretty well known for his work in time-lapse photography. In fact, if you do a Google search on John Ott, I should say, in time-lapse photography, he recorded a bunch. He's well known for recording a bunch of students in a class and how their energy levels and fatigue increased. Their energy levels decreased, or energy levels decreased. Their fatigue went up over time because they were exposed to this bright white artificial light all day. And so he became kind of well known in that arena. And I guess I'm bringing up the story because what got him into studying light and its impact on our health was he had suffered from chronic pain and inflammation throughout his whole life. And whenever he noticed that whenever he'd go to the beach, he'd always wear sunglasses. And so as a test, he started taking his sunglasses off under full spectrum natural sunlight and started noticing some really compelling positive results from just removing his sunglasses. And so that's sort of what got him into studying light in general, because he noticed such dramatic results. So I think there's a lot of power to just receiving these types of healthy wavelengths through your eyes.
Yeah. And I don't know if I heard that from you or someone at the booth at the seminar I met. I stopped, like, anytime I left my house or my office during the day, never put sunglasses on for at least the first 30 minutes, just to let my eyes get all that natural sunlight.
Right. And I'm the same way. I rarely wear sunglasses anymore. And I'm the type of person that's like, if there's snow on the ground, you get that bright reflection off snow. My eyes do adjust though, over time. So it's like in the rare circumstance, I might wear sunglasses in that scenario, but most of the time I don't, because it's this type of, it's healthy for our not only our vision, but our overall hormonal health by receiving this type of wavelengths through our eyes.
Yeah. So I'm thinking big picture for your company right now, but you just mentioned, people getting fatigued and burned out, like these students in class under this artificial light. And I think almost every major company in the world is using this garbage light all day, every day, for these people that are producing cool things and good things and whatever it may be. I mean, do you see a future where people are having some of these, your devices are hanging from the ceilings of corporations, so people are getting some positive, literally positive vibes?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, we're still very early in people sort of recognizing that light has a pretty significant impact on our health. But yeah, we see a future where 100%, and it'll probably start with some of the tech companies, whether it's Google or Facebook,
of course,
beginning to see that light actually can help lead to dramatic productivity improvements in the workplace. And so, yeah, we see that kind of happening, and you see it very early on with our customers anyway, bringing their their Juve devices to the workplace, and setting it right on their desk and getting a little light therapy treatment to try to help counteract, the bright blue light from their screens all day. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good point that you bring up, and something that we definitely see kind of hopefully changing, over time.
Yeah. And you mentioned just someone like putting it on a desk, right? Like, and facing them during work. Does the light penetrate clothing?
It does not. It does not. You definitely need skin exposure, for sure. I mean, there is a couple textile companies that are producing. One of them actually produces shorts. I can't remember the name of it. That supposedly light does penetrate through, but yet at the same time you can't. I mean, they're actually sort of protective in nature to a certain extent. We can't see through the shorts. I can't remember the name of the company, but yeah, generally speaking, yeah, you do need skin exposure to for this type of therapy to work. But as you mentioned, like just receiving these healthy wavelengths of light, during the day through your retinas can have a dramatic improvement though.
Okay. And is there a time frame? I'm thinking, if I have one sitting in my home office here, is it something I have to stand in front of for like an hour, 5 minutes? Like what's the recommended usage?
Yeah, there's probably two different ways to think about using this therapy. One is for like therapeutic, like a therapeutic fashion, and the other one is maybe more to kind of counteract some of the bright blue or bright white light that we're all exposed to in most environments. The first one, like using it in a therapeutic fashion, yeah, I mean, you do need to be really close to a device to receive a clinically relevant dose of red and near infrared light, and in fact, the energy from any light therapy device really begins to dissipate at about 12 to 18 inches away from the device. It really, and it's not linear. So what I mean by that is it's not like if the recommended treatment distance is 6 inches and you stand 12 inches away, you just have to use it for twice as long. It's not like that. It really, the energy levels really fall off quite a bit. So yeah, if you're using a light therapy device or a PBM device for therapeutic reasons, you definitely want to be close to it. Now, having said that, the other way to kind of use these devices is more as an illumination tool to help counteract some of the blue light. So in that scenario, if I'm using one of our smaller devices on a desktop while I work, yeah, you can still benefit from that. I wouldn't really think that you're going to have it turned on for quite some time to receive the type of dosage that you'll need for to treat a specific issue.
Yeah, like a therapy.
Yeah, but it does serve as like a nice counterbalance to some of the the kind of all of the artificial light that most of us use for illumination purposes.
Okay. So I mean, and I know you have the bigger devices, the larger, the ones that are, I guess, body height. Like 6 feet tall, like that gets mounted on a wall or a door, right? I can leave that running. Like if I'm working and I'm in a standing desk right now where you can see me, I can leave that like off to the side, just kind of on.
Yeah. If you wanted to use it for kind of illumination purposes, yes. But like our full body devices, which are kind of modular in nature, and we could probably get to that later. But if you're treating, let me take a step back. We fundamentally think that full body light therapy is optimal. And when it comes to full body light therapy, you really need the coverage area on that the device treats is almost identical to the actual device size, if that makes sense. So if you're really looking for a full body treatment, you need the device to be kind of like
full body.
You're not really going to get much of a full body treatment from a smaller device. If that makes sense. So yeah, if you've got one of our big full body systems and you're using it for therapeutic purposes, and what I mean by that, like I'll just use myself as an example. I have what we call our Juve Elite system in my home, and every morning for 10 minutes, I just stand in front of it at about 3 to 6 inches away or so, something like that, do some breath work. Well, I'm getting a clinically relevant dose of energy by standing that close. If I were to stand, 18 inches, 24 inches away, the dosage really, really drops off. So it's hard to get a clinically relevant dose of energy using it that way. But if you're using it just to illuminate a room, that's kind of a nice alternative to kind of using, white and blue light all the time to light up a room.
Okay. So now that we've mentioned the different types, or we at least mentioned the full body one. So what if someone's going to the website and looking around, how would someone shop? Like, okay, I know you have these small and large devices. If you're a newbie to this, how do we get involved?
Yeah. Yeah. So the two things that I would think about. So before you even shop for a light therapy device, I think step number one is just realizing, okay, light has a role in our health, right? It's important. I need to be more cognizant of it. Ideally, you're spending more time outside in the natural sunlight. I'm not talking about getting burnt at the beach for 3 hours on a Saturday. I'm just talking about like just daily sunlight exposure, even if it's for 10 minutes a day. That's like step one. Step two is like, if that's hard to do on any sort of consistent basis and you're ready to invest in a light therapy device, the way I would view like our product franchise, for example, would be the easiest option is just to get one of our handheld devices. It's wireless, rechargeable, and you can kind of do a lot of just different experimentation with that small product. It's a low price point, very convenient to use, and it's great for just targeted treatment, right? If I've got a sore, if you're an athlete and you've got a kind of a knee that bothers you every now and then, just using it while you're watching a show at night, for 10 minutes on your knee, in that example is a great start. So that's one aspect to our product portfolio at Juve. The other one is kind of this modular full body product franchise. And what I mean by that is we've got a couple different sizes of modular products. And what I mean by modular is you can start with one of them, like Lego blocks, and then build onto it over time. And they all connect together both physically and electronically. And so what that allows you to do is kind of start with one smaller device. And then as you build onto it, you can kind of create your full body system over time if you want. And so that's kind of what's cool about the modular product franchise is that design does allow, it prevents sort of this one and done kind of aspect where you can kind of start small and then get bigger over time.
Okay. I like that's actually pretty neat and smart. I have a question as you're going through this, and you mentioned 10 minutes, like, so you set up for yourself therapeutically for 10 minutes. Is there too much? Can you get too much?
Yeah, it's really hard to overdo light therapy. If anything, it's probably more of a law of diminishing returns where, anything over 15 to 20 minutes using our device at the recommended treatment distance, you're not going to really receive a lot of additive benefits. Instead, I would probably recommend doing multiple treatments per day. So maybe once in the morning, once in the evening, something like that instead.
Okay.
And that's what we often recommend if you're trying to treat a specific issue. Say it's like a sore knee, or whether sore back, whatever. Or if you're like a high performance athlete, you're just trying to really optimize your body.
Yeah.
Multiple treatments is better than just like one prolonged treatment. So,
okay.
But long story short, it's really hard to overdo. But consistency is key. So kind of similar to like working out or eating a healthy diet. It's like you can't just work out once a week and expect to see like good results. The same thing applies to light therapy. You want to be doing it on a consistent basis. We recommend daily treatments, even if it's just 10 minutes a day. Daily treatments are best. 4 to 5 times a week is great too. But if it's, if you're only using a light therapy device, whether it's ours or a different high quality device, once a week, you're not going to really probably see a lot of results.
Okay. So consistency is key.
Yeah, consistency. It's one of the reasons we designed our devices to deliver the type of power they do. Is if you begin to kind of like study the science of photobiomodulation, it really becomes apparent that yes, consistency is key regardless of what you're trying to use it for. And if you're using an underpowered device, it's just, no one wants to use something for 45, 60 minutes a day. It's just, the compliance won't be there. But everyone has like 10 minutes in their day to use something on a consistent basis. And so that's why we designed the power output from our devices to deliver the type of dosage in 10 minutes where you can actually receive improvements, using it in that short time window.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned with the sauna, like the sauna lights obviously give off heat. These don't give off. You're not going to feel like you're getting cooked.
Yeah, no. It's because of the difference between near infrared and then mid and far infrared.
So being clear in my head. Yeah,
so you'll receive a little bit of warmth. We kind of equate it to I'm in Southern California and it's like a sunny 70-degree day. That's kind of what it feels like.
Okay.
When using our devices.
Okay, very cool, very cool. What are the best ways for people to connect with the company?
The best place is probably to hit up our website at joov.com. It's J2Os2V, so JOOVV.com. And I would probably direct you to 2 different places on our website. If you're into the science, like me and kind of a nerd and geek out on that stuff, I'd go to our Learn page. It includes a robust number of well-sourced long form articles on a wide variety of different topics, everything from muscle recovery to brain health to joint pain and inflammation, et cetera. So if you geek out on the science, I'd go there. If you want to stay high level, I think the reviews page on our site is really cool too, because we post all reviews, whether they're 1-star or 5-star, and you really get to see like what people are saying in their own words. And it's kind of interesting. And a common theme is someone will purchase one of our devices and for a specific thing like joint pain or inflammation. But using it on a consistent basis, they'll notice like other benefits, like they're sleeping better, or they'll get comments from their friends and family that they haven't seen in a long time and say, "Wow, you must be using Botox," or "What are you doing for your skin because it's glowing?" It's comments like that. So it's kind of cool to see what people have to say in their own words. So I'd probably go to those two different areas on our site. And other than that, we're pretty active on social, especially Instagram. So we're at Juve Social on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So you can hit us up there as well.
Very cool. And I'll give a testimonial, not for myself. I spoke to a friend. This is actually before we had this, right before, I think maybe days before we had this interview set up. My friend's like, "Yeah, I just bought a Juve light." I'm like, "Sweet." And I spoke to him a couple of weeks later, and he's like, he uses it every day. He goes, "My dog likes to stand in front of it as well." Like just will be in front. I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, the dog's got to know these things, but he loves it. He raves about it. Him and his wife use it daily. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's funny. Like it's if you have an animal, a lot of times they'll kind of gravitate towards the light, and it's very healthy for them. In fact, we have another article on our site that kind of goes into details about the fact that this type of therapy is used by veterinarians across the world, to treat certain things. Usually it's like an acute injury with an animal, but this type of light is very healthy for pets too.
Yeah. It's just an Australian Shepherd, no injuries, nothing, just will gravitate towards the device and, hang out when they're using it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. So Scott, man, this is awesome. I really appreciate you. I'm very excited to share this with our audience because it's, like you said, it's new. It's been around for a while, but I think needs to get to the people. We're living indoors under blue lights as I am right now talking to you. At least you're outside, but I think this is an important piece of the health puzzle that I'm glad you're taking that lead, with your company and charging forward. So I appreciate it, brother.
No, thanks. Thanks for having me on. We always enjoy having these types of conversations because you hit it on the nose. It's one of the more underappreciated aspects to just health optimization is just kind of respecting kind of how light plays the role that it plays in our health, and just paying more attention. Because a lot of people are just in a situation where they're just not paying attention. They're just not cognizant of it. Yeah. And so that's why, like, step one, like I said earlier, is kind of just become more cognizant of it. And the easiest thing to evaluate is just like what type of light you're exposed to at night. Instead of, maybe switch out some light bulbs for lower, those that have a lower Kelvin temperature, that are a little bit more
like a softer, warmer.
Yeah. I mean, there's little things that you can start with, and then, like I said earlier, kind of comparing it to like a supplement, almost a good multivitamin supplement or some other supplement, like a good high quality light therapy device is kind of it's a great way to kind of get a quick dose of that type of healthy light in a short amount of time.
Very cool. Well, man, brother, I appreciate it. I know we're going to stay connected here, and I'm glad to share your message with the world. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
So what an awesome episode with Scott on photobiomodulation, man. This stuff is so cool. It is amazing how everything in life affects everything in life, isn't it? Right? From the stuff we eat to how we move to how we think to the actual spectrum of light that affects our physiology all day, every day. So like Scott says, make sure you check what's going on in your own home. You can fix some of those things yourself. And also, please check out Juve Light. And what I'm going to have you do is you're going to head over to lifestylelocker.com/Juve, JOOVV. That's again, lifestylelocker.com/Juve, JOOVV. Or you can scroll down in the show notes and you'll have all the details, how you can get your own Juve, how you can connect to Scott, and how you can make things work so you can have better light in your life. All right, Locker Nation, wherever you're listening and whenever you're listening, have a great day, evening, or night. Appreciate you all. See you soon. Bye-bye.